So I'm going to open up my video a little bit differently here by saying, Quantum TV, you need a serious reality check, my guy. You got some damn problems. So you guys are probably wondering, well, Crasher, who is this Quantum TV that you're about to lay the verbal smack down on? Well, I'm going to say this much. If you don't know who Quantum TV is, I envy you. I didn't know who he is until recently when I seen a various amount of response videos to him on my recommended page, and oh boy, the rabbit hole is deep and it is rather insane. To give you guys a brief idea, Quantum TV is someone that is known as not only an abuser of the copyright system, he is also a man-child, he's a hypocrite, he's a bigot, and yet, despite all of that and more, he actually has the audacity and the ego to turn all that around and claim that it's a cyberbullying attack and that he's the victim and all that stuff. No, dude, you're not the victim. You're simply being held accountable for the various amount of scummy shit that you pulled here. Now, unfortunately, because of how much of an asshole this guy is, that will literally strike down anyone or try to strike down anyone that uses any footage, I'm not going to be using any footage in this video. However, what I will do instead is reference a lot of videos and link them in the description down below for you guys to check out yourself, especially two very well done videos made by the Act Man, who was a primary target of Quantum TV, and he shows a lot of fucking receipts when it comes to backing up the points that he made in his video. And these are the same points that I am going to be going over as well, because honestly, this guy just really truly needs one of the biggest reality checks in the history of reality checks. So let's truly dive in with the first point of the video. Okay, so first off, I want to touch base with you guys on his copyright abuse. Now, it is very, very, very universally frowned upon by the entirety of the YouTube community that copyright abuse is a big no-no. And considering that it's really difficult to get the entirety of the YouTube community to agree on something, that right there is already very telling. Just because someone makes fair and justified criticisms against you, that does not give you the right at all to censor them because you don't like what they have to say about you. And this here reminds me of that quote about cutting out a man's tongue. You don't cut out a man's tongue to prove he's a liar. You're cutting out the man's tongue because you prove to the world you're afraid of what he has to say. So when it comes to his history of copyright abuse, there are three names that stick out the most here. That would be Review Tech USA, Mischief, and the Act Man. And all three of those channels have their own videos documenting their experiences in that regard with Quantum TV, which go over a lot of details. There's a lot of receipts to show for it. And more specifically, when it comes to Mischief, Mischief is a 16-year-old kid at the time of when he was dealing with Quantum TV, and he was also a relatively small YouTuber, someone who had a few thousand subscribers, but after his dealing with Quantum TV, after all that blew up, well, now Mischief is someone who is nearly twice the size of Quantum TV. That is poetic justice at its finest. But I mentioned that Mischief is 16 because this is a grown-ass man going after a child because a child dare have some criticisms against Quantum TV. Now, I understand that age isn't an excuse when it comes to having takes being put out there online, but there also has to be some type of respect and some type of moral code when it comes to that sort of situation. Like trying to ruin a kid's life and reputation because they dare make a criticism video about you, I mean, that's taking it a step too far in my honest opinion. And here's the thing as well, since we're on the topic of taking things too far, this guy not only abuses the copyright system, but he actually tries to turn this whole thing into a legal issue, most notably with the Act Man. Like, that right there is just honestly beyond insanity. Like, if you're actually trying to take legal action against someone that dares make a fair and justified criticism against you, you definitely need to take care of your small man syndrome. I'm just saying. Alright, so now let's move on to him playing victim and acting like a complete and utter man-child. This one right here, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to get some ibuprofen ready because this is going to give you a headache. We can definitely say that based on his response to all of the justified criticism that he brought upon himself, he definitely has a complex about himself, that being a victim complex. He loves playing victim, and he does it at every single twist and turn, and I can't even believe that this all started because people didn't like his Elden Ring review video. And in all fairness, his video was utter trash. It was filled with a lot of cringy points and comparisons that don't even remotely come close to making sense. Now, he eventually removed that video because of how utterly horrible it was. It got massively downvoted. There was a lot of people responding to it, and rightfully so. Hell, had I known about it when he made that video at the time, I probably would have made a response video to it because it was that bad, despite me not really knowing much about Elden Ring. You know what I'm saying? It is that bad. Oh, but guys, it gets even worse because whoever sells Quantum TV actually going out of his way, and I shit you not when I say this, he actually went out of his way to call the Act Man's mother, all because of a criticism video that the Act Man made in response to Quantum TV. I shit you not, that is what this man-child did. Like, for the love of God, if you are that far gone, like, my voice cracked in saying that, it is that insane, but if you are that far gone that you have to run to mommy because someone says something bad about you, I really don't think the internet is the place for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for the love of God, it's like, you have absolutely no problem dishing out your bullshit, but when you get it right back, all of a sudden you fold like a wet paper napkin, okay? Don't dish it if you can't take it, my boy. Alright, so now let's move on to the hypocrisy section of this video, and this guy, yes, is also a flaming hypocrite. Big surprise, am I right? So, this guy here actually had the audacity to try and preach to everyone, critics included, about fair use. Okay, so first off, let's get a brief and basic understanding of what fair use is. Taken here from a simple Google search, what is an example of fair use? Examples of fair use in United States copyright law include commentary, search engines, criticism, parody, news reporting, research, and scholarship. Fair use provides for the legal, unlicensed citation or incorporation of copyright material in another author's work under a 4-factor test. Now that is a very basic entry-level description of what fair use is. If we go into it deeper, there's obviously a lot of nuance and gray area to it, such as what is exactly considered fair use depending on how much of the original content you use in your video to try and make it transformative, yada yada, all that stuff. But I can safely and confidently say that the videos that I've seen thus far responding to Quantum TV have definitely fit within the realms of fair use. And the fact that this guy actually tries to act like that we are violating fair use when really he is not only not understanding what fair use is, but is breaking copyright law by falsely making copyright claims and takedowns versus people who have made fair use content criticizing him for the amount of stuff that he has done. And here's the thing as well, is that it's actually illegal under US law of perjury to be doing that type of stuff. When you are illegally trying to copyright strike someone, that right there is what's called perjury, which is a criminal offense. So congratulations, jackass, you also broke the law. And it's also funny how you try to paint yourself as a good guy, as a victim, because you're being cyberbullied by all these mean people. Well, maybe there is something that you ought to learn, and that is treat people the way you wish to be treated. If you are going to be treating people respectfully, they're going to be treating you respectfully, most likely. But if you're going to be acting like a bigoted, self-entitled asshole, well then you're going to be looked at as a bigoted, self-entitled asshole. And I find it funny how you try to have this double standard where it's essentially rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, it's written all over your face, my guy. Okay, so now we get into the favorite here of this video, and I'm totally not being sarcastic about that. This is something that really fucking infuriates me having to address. The guy is a bigoted asshole, okay? He is a homophobic, transphobic, racist, narcissistic piece of shit. That right there is pretty much the long story short in that section, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that. So what if I was to tell you guys that this guy is actually ban evading on YouTube? That's right. He actually previously got banned from YouTube because of hate speech, and we're not talking about something, you know, petty and minor and stuff like that. We're talking about some really disgusting and abhorrent things that had come from this guy's mouth. And here's the thing as well, is that he'll try to tell you, okay, he will actually try to tell you that he was hacked, and therefore that's when all that stuff came out. My guy, that is like one of the most old and tired excuses in the book. I was hacked. No, dude, just take some fucking accountability. Now, an example of his bigotry here would be when there was that incident in 2016 at the Pulse nightclub, which was a gay bar. I don't know if that is still a thing. I don't know if Pulse is still around, but just roll with me here. There was a very terrible tragedy that took place that involved a shooting, and many people were killed. Now, this guy here actually thought that these people deserved to die. Why? Because they were a part of the LGBTQ. Yeah, people that just want to live their lives freely and have their own ways of living, their own orientations, and wanting to be treated equally and with respect. They deserve to die because of that? You are a fucking idiot. And see, I'm already starting to come to a boil. I gotta calm down a little bit. See, I'm someone that's an ally of LGBTQ, okay? I have known people in my life that were either gay, bisexual, lesbian, etc., and they're wonderful people. I mean, who cares what their preference is, as long as it doesn't involve kids, mind you, but as long as they are not doing anything illegal and they're not doing anything that is harmful towards other people, then why the fuck does it matter? You know what I'm saying? Let people have the orientation they want. Let people identify how they want. As long as they're not hurting anyone and doing anything illegal, who the hell cares? And as far as his racist behavior goes, well, he actually had the audacity to call Lenny Kravitz's daughter a half-breed, which, by the way, calling someone a half-breed is not only horrible in and of itself, but it's also a racial slur. So check another one against you, mate. And as far as being transphobic goes, well, here's a screenshot of him defending one of his Discord moderators for their usage of the word tranny, which is a slur against transgender individuals. So listen, man, you can't hide behind the whole, oh, the hacker did it. These were recent as well. Like, what the hell, dude? You know, like, this is beyond messed up. This is the type of behavior that shouldn't have a place online. And it shows in the quote of cutting out a man's tongue in this scenario here. Cutting out your tongue is not because we're afraid of what you might say, it's because we already know what you are capable of saying, and we don't want to hear any more of it. YouTube is not a place where stuff like that should be welcomed. Period. And not just YouTube, but obviously everywhere else that is a social media platform. Let's make that distinction clear too. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the conclusion of this video, and honestly, this video was a lot harder to make than I had initially thought. Man, oh man alive, like, this guy is a pure jackass, and his actions are also really harmful as a whole, and this is something that if it's not dealt with, it could actually harm the YouTube ecosystem, because this right here further shows and solidifies the point that myself and many other people have been making for a long ass time, that the YouTube copyright system is not only broken, but it is something that can be easily abused. This is something that should not be welcomed. This is something that does not deserve a place at all. and Quantum TV should be dealt with once and for good. Now, there's one last thing I want to bunch into this video before signing off for the day, and that is the fact that this guy is absolutely stupid and incompetent. Now, here is an example of said stupidity and incompetence. As we see right here, this was taken from the Act Man's video, where it showcases an incomplete form in regards to a copyright takedown. I honestly cannot even begin to really truly express how cringy and how hilarious it is. I mean, honestly, I think the imagery more than speaks for itself just fine. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the video, and one last message to Quantum TV. Fuck you, buddy. Get bent.